Welcome, ladies and gents. I thought we would take a look at what the WGA got from the studios. Obviously, they've been on strike for some time. I think they're going to paint this as being massively positive, but taking a rudimentary glance over this, it kind of looks like their strike was a bit worthless at this point in time. Not going to lie, it doesn't look like they've come out on top. In fact, it looks like their demands weren't really met that much. So let's take a look. I think the writers, I think they kind of got screwed on this, to be honest. But hey, let's dive into it, right? The new WGA contract explained. This is on Variety. Just gives a brief rundown of it all, basically. So I thought this was interesting. Hit subscribe if you're new here, folks. But anyway, just as a bit of context, it was a 148-day strike. That is a long time for them to be on strike. A long, long time. So what's been demanded? So, minimum TV writers' room staffing. I've never really understood this, quite frankly. Sometimes writers' rooms, sometimes you don't need a writer's room, right? Sometimes you just don't. I've never understood the demand. It's basically just, to me, it's a way to artificially inflate business. Needlessly so, actually. And this is where they, as far as I can see, definitely got screwed. So the WGA asked for a minimum of 6 writers. 6 writers. In their mind, it's writers. Just with 6 writers. For a series that has been greenlighted for at least 6 episodes per season. The agreement calls for 3 writer producers. Right? That can also be the showrunner. So this is unequivocally them getting screwed here. Because the WGA, when they made their demand, there is no way in hell they wanted 6 writers that were also a producer on board. When they're making their demand, they are asking for just writers. Not the showrunner, not the producers, none of that. And the agreement is, yeah, well, I'll give you 3, so half of it. And actually one of them can be the showrunner and one of them can be the producer. We can just hire 1 writer, actually, from the WGA. And they've agreed to it. So the number of members at the more junior writer or staff level will rise on a sliding scale, depending on the number of episodes ordered. Honestly, be prepared for a lot of 6-episode series then. Genuinely. So a 6-episode series calls for at least 3 writer level hires. Series that run for 7 to 12 episodes per season have to hire 5 writers. Series that run for 13 episodes or more must hire 6 writers. Fine. I would honestly just expect more 6-episode series now. They've genuinely screwed themselves here. So, a new component of the contract makes an exception for solo writer shows, such as The White Lotus or Big Little Lies, in which all episodes are written by a single writer. In those cases, the writer's initial deal with the studio, network, or streamer must call for the writer to work as a solo act from the start, or as described by the Guild in its summary of deal highlights, the minimum staff levels are in force unless a single writer is engaged to write all episodes. So honestly, you're probably going to get more single writer episodes as well now. There are also new rules about the duration of employment for writers, and there is yet another new stipulation designed to ensure that less experienced writers get the chance to observe the production and post-production process. Why? What a needlessly pathetic part of a contract. You're just hand-holding people in the industry now. 2 writer-producers must be employed for the lesser of 20 weeks of production or the duration of production. I mean, that is producers anyway, so yeah, they're going to be. Along with a showrunner. So that addresses the concern that writers and writer-producers are not getting the exposure and apprenticeship time needed to develop into full-fledged showrunners. Fine. For pre-greenlight rooms, aka during the development process, requirements are that if 3 writers are hired, at least 3 writer-producers be guaranteed 10 consecutive weeks of employment. That addresses complaints from writers that the short duration of contemporary writers' rooms made for difficult work experiences and hard to amass enough earnings to qualify for healthcare. I think that's fine. They got a pretty good deal there, quite frankly. Now we have this. The streaming is a pretty big thing. So StreamingResiduals. The WGA fought hard for success-based bonus for made-for streaming TV programs and movies. The paltry residual fees that writers receive for streaming platforms was one of the animating forces for the walkout. The new formula pays writers a bonus for original TV shows and movies that are broad-based hits for subscription-based platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, blah, 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 blah. The bonus covers high budget, made for streaming titles. Most original series on major streamers meet the high budget threshold, but the emphasis on made for streaming titles means that older series that were originally produced for non-streaming platforms, like Suits, that has recently been a popular binge, blah, 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 would not qualify. So that makes perfect sense. Why would it? You can't retroactively demand more money. It's not kind of how it works. There's no contract in place. I think that's fine. So for made-for-streaming titles that are viewed by 20% or more of the service's domestic subscribers in the first 90 days of release, that's actually a massive threshold. 20% of the domestic subscribers, that's huge. That's quite a lot, guys. I don't think they're going to get as much money as they think. Or the first 90 days of any subsequent year that the title is on the platform, writers will receive a bonus ranging from $9,000 to $16,500 for TV episodes, and $40,500 for a feature film with a budget over $30 million. This bonus structure takes effect for titles released after January 1st, 2024. Good, no retroactive stuff. I love that. So the bonuses are equal to 50% of the fixed domestic and foreign residuals, even though the viewership threshold is only based on US subscribers. I think they got an okay deal here, to be fair. That's not too bad. So as expected, the WGA will also see a big hike in foreign streaming residuals coming under the new contract, similar to the terms baked into the Directors Guild of America's contract that was set in May. The foreign residual calculation is expected to yield a 76% increase. Now, the big one. AI. So the WGA, obviously AI is a big point of contention. So there's a provision that gives the guild itself the power to challenge the use of writers' existing work to train AI software programs. Interesting. AI generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credit or separated rights, the contract language states. So here it is, per the guild. AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI generated material will not be considered source material under the NBA, meaning that AI generated material can't be used to undermine a writer's credit or separated rights. A writer can choose to use AI when performing writing services if the company consents and provided that the writer follows applicable company policies, but the company can't require the writer to use AI software when performing writing services. So hold on a minute. I thought they were arguing about AI taking their jobs, and they're like, well, we're just going to use it now as well. Fucking jokers, honestly. The company must disclose to the writer if any materials given to the writer have been generated by AI or incorporate AI-generated material. The WGA reserves the right to assert the exploitation of writers' material to train AI. I think this is the most hilarious, hypocritical part of the whole thing. They were fighting against AI, and then they're like, yeah, but we want to use it. What? So you want a job, being a writer, but you want to be able to use AI to write because you don't want AI to take over your job by a studio using it? What? Fucking honestly. Jokers. So the contract enshrines the policy of ensuring that the vast majority of screenwriters will get a second step or paid to do at least one rewrite of a draft screenplay. Why is that a thing? So the WGA worried that the nuanced terms would only encourage studios to pursue more remakes and IP-driven content under the new terms. Per the Guild, a second step is required whenever a writer is hired for a first draft screenplay for 200% of minimum or less, including original and non-original screenplays. It also applies to spec scripts that are purchased outside of the usual development process. How bizarre. Another big gripe among feature writers in recent years has been slowness in the payment schedules. Fine, so they're going to up that, that's fine, and there's fees for, like, late fees, basically. Writing teams. So writers who work as duos or in larger groups have long been handicapped under the guild contract to earn the minimum threshold each year to qualify for healthcare benefits. That's because the fees made by duos had to be split between two writers or more, which made it harder to reach the earnings threshold. Now, for the purpose of calculating health and pensions benefits, each writer will be credited with earning the full fee, even though it is still split across the team. surely that's a tax issue now. Each writer on a writing team employed for a script will receive pension and health contributions up to the relevant cap as though they were a single writer, rather than splitting the applicable cap. In addition, when a writing team is employed on a series, the contribution for each writer on the team will be made on the full weekly minimum instead of one half of the weekly minimum. It does look. This doesn't sound like they got off, particularly great. Quite frankly, it does sound like they've been screwed here. I think massively hypocritical of writers to be, really disconcerted with the use of AI and then be like, yeah, but we want to use it. Fuck off. Honestly, you are getting no one likes you as it is at this point in time, and you're scared of AI, but you're demanding to be able to use it yourself. Absolute jokers. So anyway, it looks like they've got off pretty bad here. It looks like the studio did pretty well out of this, I would say. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let's get the discourse going. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.